Hey, welcome to Lavender, Hazelwood Witches. So, what is critical thinking? Critical thinking is, well, let's look it up a second. We have a definition here from Wikipedia. Critical thinking is the analysis and available facts, evidence, observations, and arguments in order to form a judgment by the application of rational, skeptical, and unbiased analyses and evaluation. The application of critical thinking includes self-directed, self-disciplined, self-monitored, and self-corrective habits of the mind. Okay, we're going to stop there. That's probably enough. How does this apply to witchcraft? That is a question that, in a way, has been posed a lot over social media and the internet, especially because there's so many things going around that could be false. But my belief is the more we have a hand in things, the further it goes, and the more empowered we are to do something about something we don't like, right? A bunch of us have come together. We're doing something called Thinktober. It's a tag that we've created where a bunch of us are going to be looking at different aspects of practice and talking about the critical thinking aspects of it. So hopefully we can all get a better understanding of the questions we need to ask ourselves, the processes that we can put in place so that we can have a more empowered experience when it comes to our craft. So you can find links to everyone else who's participating in my description, or you can click on the Thinktober tag and that should take you to all the videos that are collaborating on this. Let's get to this, yes? I wanted to talk today about critical thinking in spellwork and also when we're dealing with intangible things, such as dreams, things on the astral, messages we get from spirit, deity, etc. So let's first get into our spell work. The example I'm going to use is a spell I did a video on about a year ago, about this time last year, and it is a spell for belonging. I wanted to create a way to feel like you belong, or that belonging happens when family or friends come together within the season. Because oftentimes, I know I have definitely felt excluded or felt like I'm not a part of things, and that's a really shitty thing to experience. This spell is to remedy that particular experience that I've had. So some questions that we have to ask ourselves are, okay, what is our intention? What will support our intention? What do we believe? And what feels right? I mean, I would say those are the handful of questions that I always ask myself. So we'll draw from mundane knowledge, we'll draw from magical knowledge, whether it's ours or just out there. So basically research, and then draw from your own gut feelings. And that last one I think is the trickiest part of being a critical thinker, because that is the most intangible one. The way I went about putting this spell together was, okay, what is my goal? To belong in a group of people. And then I asked myself, what energies can I bring together to make this intention come to life? And that's where I start looking at what I believe, what my experiences have been, and what my practice looks like. For me, I do work with herbs. I do work with spirits, do a hell of a lot of my own monitoring of the experiences and feelings that I have going on inside, and also draws from what I know in a mundane way. So these are the things that I'm pulling from or I'm thinking of when I'm putting a spell together. When I talk about spirits, the kinds of spirits that I work with are ancestor, basically spirits that I know, and herbs. So then I think about, well, what do I know about herbs? Oh, I know that apples are connected to love. So let's go do a little bit more research on apples and see if that fits, because I know that could be the heart of the spell. So I go look for apples, I figure out what the correspondences are, and that's where I know I'm going to center my spell on. And then I ask myself, what else do I want in this spell? I want there to be strong bonds. I want everybody to feel good. So let's look and see what other kinds of correspondences fit. So all of these ingredients go into the pot, and then I brew a drink that can be shared, and hopefully brings all of these elements together within the gathering so that we all feel like we belong and feel good. So it's just getting clear on your intention and then doing some research on the correspondences that could support that intention. It just depends on what your particular preferences are and what you have connections to as well. Because if you put a spell together without any connections, you're not actually doing anything. You know, the more mundane things you know about something, the more you have a feeling, a strong feeling or a connection with something, the better. And then you look at the results. The question would be, did I feel like I belonged in this situation? If your answer is yes, success. If your answer is no, well, then that's when we go back and do some tweaking. Maybe I want to eliminate something. Maybe I want to bring something else in. And then you'd go back and try again. Next, I want to shift gears and talk more about the intangible aspects of practice. And how do we critically think our way through what is true and what is not? And I did a video recently on, what is it called? Is it my imagination or is it communication? And this is sort of stemming off of that conversation as well. So when you're looking at dreams, astral work, communications with spirits and deities, I think to know whether they're true or not is basically comes down to, like, I'm going to say two things or three things. Okay, so let's talk about patterns, corroboration, and knowing how to shift. I want to talk about the experiences that I've had that I feel like help support getting through that sort of nebulous terrain. So, well, okay, one, you have experience. The more experience you have, the better you'll know yourself and the feelings that are coming through and what's true and what's not. It just takes time. And related to experience, practice helps. Through practice, we can find patterns. And patterns are the things that will tell us whether something is going to work or whether it's not going to work. So I did this partner exercise, and I explained this in the other video. Basically, I had to locate an object that she had, and we had 8 turns to try it. So she would hold the object, I would guess which hand it was in. Having an approach is important so that you can decipher patterns. The first way I approached it, there's this way where you can where when you ask an intuitive question, you look at life and whatever pops out to you is grist for the mill. It's where you start interpreting your symbols. I was approaching this that way the first 8 times that we did it, and it did not work. We had the same answer every single time, and I kept guessing where it wasn't. So I knew, okay, that approach doesn't work. I made an internal shift, and I was like, okay, we're going to move instead from the heart. And when we move from the heart, we actually become the object instead. And when I did that, we did the exercise again, another 8 times in a row. And every single time I guessed where this object was. So I knew just from those experiences, okay, when I drop in and I become the object, I know where it is. When I use the intuitive tool and look outside of myself and try and draw things in for the answer, it doesn't work. This is a way in which I gather information and critically think about what is working and what is not in this situation. And then I can put that information in my tool bag for the next time. So we've got, does a pattern emerge? Because that will give you feedback and information. Just taking notes will help you find those patterns and what is working and what isn't. Whenever you can, corroborate with outside sources that have nothing to do with you. Because I had a partner and my partner had the object, then that was the corroboration that I needed to know, okay, this particular thing that I'm doing is working or it's not. In the same way, when I'm doing ancestor work, I get messages as well. How do I know when they're true? No idea. But when I can, I go and I check. So I got a message from my best friend's mother. She told me that the thing my best friend was looking for was in the yellow package. So I delivered that message, and my best friend had absolutely no idea what I was talking about. So either 1, I was wrong, and that wasn't a real message. 2, I interpreted it wrong. The yellow package was a symbol for something else that I don't know what that is. Or 3, this message is either for the future or what's for the past and not in the present moment. And if the last one's the case, then I would need to go back and see if I can garner more information to get a clearer sense of what she's talking about. So now I know, okay, something didn't work there. So I need to shift my approach, either the way I'm talking or communicating to the entity, that I got the message from. And then if that doesn't work, I would just throw it away. I have the notes on it, but it's not something that I can follow through with or follow up with or use. There's nothing I can garner from that. Lesson learned. So look for patterns and find ways to corroborate what you're getting. I don't know if what I said makes sense, but these are sort of the more logical, analytical questions that I'm asking myself when I'm moving through spell work or when I'm sort of deciphering communications that are intangible. If you're new here, I am on Patreon, and there's printables each month, and in certain tiers, part of your money goes into Morley's Friend Fund, in which we donate to animal rescue organizations. There's a link in the description box if you'd like to learn more.